everybody! How are you today? So today is different. We will both have to talk about and about. Okay, today we have to talk about the advertising and his different effects on us. Listen. So first of all, I would like to talk to you a bit about advertising history. The first advertisement were all paint showing and sing the praise of politicians, heroes, but also their savoir-faire. It was the advertisement reason. Next, there were posters to find thieves and murderers. At the Middle Age, there was town screamers to scream royal ordinances and storekeeper announcements. It's then at the 15th century the printing works took place and the printing became accessible to the general public with the appearance of flyers and posters. In 1660, the London Gazette published in his review a toothpaste advertising, so it was the first advertisement in a review. The French Revolution will be a big explosion for advertising, and it was in 1836 that we're really going to talk about advertising in the media. All of those advertising beginning out for goal to fix people gaze on it, that it's important to him by guiding him on what to do. Would that not also the purpose of the current advertising? At the end of the 19th century and at the beginning of the 20th centuries, there are more and more advertising posters that sometimes become works of art. There's artists, each simplify the shapes and colors of the poster in their own way to make them more attractive. The brand's logo are beginning to appear. This is really the beginning of the marketing advertising. Then advertising was marked by the radio. I will also talk on the musical dimension with the slogan arrival. You know those slogans that get into your head and they don't want to get out of it. So this was followed by the first television commercials that appeared in France in the 1968. To sum up, it was at this time that the advertising has become a crucial element of competitiveness and that brand must compete with creativity and budget. Their aim will be the same as the one that continues today, so that is to say, to make the most consumers consume. Secondly, we have to talk about the influence of our consumption. Before, at the roots, young people will have watched more and more than 15,000 hours of television advertisements. It's amazing. So therefore, young people build their identity on these images that aim to create daily desires. For example, when children go shopping with their parents, they will have a strong impact on the purchase of certain products because they have seen it on TV and they want to have the same thing, or even through other because advertising is really represented everywhere, not just on your screen. Children are sponges that record everything. Coca-Cola uses this principle in particular to attract them. As they say, target young people is to ensure the survival of the brand. Advertising is a consumer incentive product that targets a particular public. In a way, it's about getting us to buy products that we don't need. To do this, there are psychological tricks. Advertising releases values that cannot always be resisted. Brands will use a repetition of the slogan, a sound, a visual identity to mark the consumer mind. That's how our brain recorded things. With these 4 points, attention is drawn, interest is generated, desire is provoked, and purchase is triggered. Advertisers will also target us. They will also target the places and the times when their impact will be all the more advantageous, such as a bus stop or between the 5 minutes of television's program advertising. There is also another important point for the users, but it also happens in our unconscious. This is the principle of familiarity. That is to say, a well-known brand is a brand of quality, of trust. With all of these elements will be set up neuromarketing. We will try to understand the unconscious behavior to control the preferences of consumers for one brand rather than another. From a marketing view, consumer and trademarks point of view, it's a very clever principle, but many people don't like this principle. It's as if we no longer had free will. That's why today, when you see a name of a brand in an advertisement, you can become mean because you think they want to persuade us to buy it more and have been manipulated. Which is said to pass a bit the case, but by seeing something reminiscent of the brand, it will unconsciously give us the desire to consume it. We are therefore influenced. As a result of this, a new brand marketing technique appeared, where at least was well validated, understood, the logo of some marks will no longer be enhanced, but replaced by their identity. Now it's even said that the most revealing advertisements are those without logos. This shows that we have been very strongly embedded with brands. For example, Apple are very strong with these AirPods. There's nothing in writing, only the color and especially the shape to recognize them. To further deceive people in the future, brands will be hidden, the products will not tell you who they are, we will guess. Also, the filter of skepticism decreased, and we find ourselves in interaction with the products, and so we remember much more things than if you are just a passive observer. But in this case, advertisements aren't so bad that some people can't tell us because they drive our memories without effort. It's pretty cool. So, in the future, logos will disappear and symbols will take over: the smell, the nose, the touch, the shape. All these elements will tell an indirect story about the brand, and we will guess who it is. For example, it's the case for some Hermes jewelry, such as a ring where the shape of this represents in an abstract way on an H, or the squares whose graphic identity and colors are very strong, which allow us to recognize them. As you may have noticed, advertisements surround us in every corner of our life, whether on TV, on our clothes, our objects, our food, outdoors furniture, vehicles, etc. It's all advertising, of course, with its positive and negative side. At least the good side is that you are a bit curious or not, you discover and you get familiar with a lot of things indirectly, without wanting it. But from a negative point of view, we are constantly under influence. We always want to consume and recognize each other in this or that thing or person. That is where I come to the second part of my reflection. As I was telling you, by the fact that we always see a lot of new informations, we want to be able to be part of it. On TV, on the posters, etc. They represent themselves through different people, personalities, who glorify the cult of the beauty. So we will have to do to people who have a very beautiful physical from the point of view of the present beauty that will be for women, fairness, or even maigre without fat. And for men, a beautiful shoulder span, a beautiful region, abdominal. Of course, with many other artificial elements. In addition to this phenomenon, there is a new kind of advertising on social media. Networks with influencers on Instagram, Snapchat, for example. So we will have access to a lot of photos and brands showing the finest people, the most muscular, and all this in beautiful shorts. All these elements will cause some people to have mental disorders about their well-being, but sometimes even their behavior. I explain myself. Some people will want to look like their idol and therefore they will too big, which may cause anorexic disorders. But that's not all. Other people will want to buy everything that advertising brand influencers will own or offer them, but it may not be in their budget and therefore ruin them. Young people build their identity on those images that are aimed at perfection but are not necessarily the reality. Photoshop, rental of material goods. Here are the different advertising negativities that they can have on us. But don't forget, they are a good way for us. They enable us to discover new projects to attract and to fan our imaginations and desires. What is a life without desires? For the satisfaction of the fulfillment of desire is less strong than the desire itself. So thank you to listen to me, and we will find next time for a new video on a new chapter. Bye friends!